So, you know, once you've got the perfect SGB, yes, absolutely. What worries me is I don't see that many principals know how to get the SGB. I don't know how to do it either. So, Wendy and Anne, we have to hear from you.
Just to give you a bit of context, I'm Anne Martin. I was born in Gauteng, but I've been away from here for a long time. I was in KwaZulu-Natal. I headed up I was the principal of a school there for 18 years, Durban Girls High School. And I've come here in my retirement to be with my grandchildren, and the GBF roped me in. And I'm hoping this afternoon to actually just give you a completely different picture from Ruben and Daya. I can tell that they're still in office and that they've still got retirement in front of them. So, and I can tell that sometimes you get bogged down with these things. I just want to come today to say that in 1994, in this country, much was negotiated. We all know about, we got our democratic freedom in terms of the South Africa, of our country, and we all know all about that. But one of the essential things that happened at that time was the negotiation of how schools would operate, a new vision for schools, a new vision to build up schools in your community. So that not just schools in Area A or Area B and so on would be strong. The belief that if you were sending your child to school, your most precious possession, the belief that as your community would form the basis to act in the very best interests of that child or those children that were going to school. That it wasn't just a case that they had to go to compulsory education. And so the largest, in fact it is the largest number of people are elected. In Parliament you only elect 497 members of Parliament when you go for parliamentary election. In these governing body elections, over 200,000 people are elected to have a say in our most important asset in this country. Can we not believe that these elections, that in choosing and in building up your community, in ensuring that you have a strong governing body, ensuring that you have people on your governing body that have the interest and the heart of the children in that school, not their political affiliations. And there's a big tendency towards that, and I've been very bold to say that today because but that is true. That is what is happening. Not those who want to meddle or think that the wrong principal was appointed somewhere along the line. Not those who want to maintain the school gardens. None of those people are suitable because those people do not have the best interest of our greatest asset at heart. Now, that's wonderful in theory, and it sounds, and you know, it all sounds, now, but how are we going to do this? And the principal, as Daya has said, does play a very important role. You have to form a partnership with the community. You have to communicate with them. We have to have an open heart for them. There are always going to be difficult parents, I promise you. I still dream about some of those difficult parents when things going, you know, I wake up and think, oh my gosh, Mrs. So-and-so's got an appointment today. Then I wake up and I realize that actually it's not true. I've only got a meeting at the GDE. But it's like a flashback, you know. So I understand that. And that's part of your job, and it's always going to be there. But build partnerships with your community. Build partnerships with those parents. Make those parents want to bring your children to your school. Make them want to believe in you. Make them want to be able to share with you and tell them and be open to their ideas and their different opinions. It's hard, it's difficult, but you will win them over. And once you have got the heart, send, you know, you might not all be in the position to actually send out regular notices, but send out notices. have an award system for the children, not just for children who are doing well, but weekly sort of things, and then send a little letter to the parents and say, your child has done his homework all week. And that may be, for that child, but you know what it does to a mom's heart? I've got 7 grandchildren, and one of them is hell on wheels. But the other day, he won the best dressed at South Africa Day. And you know what it did to me? Because the teacher said he won the best dressed at South Africa Day. It gave me a very warm feeling about the community. And so I don't want to go on too much other than to say that all those people who are elected onto governing bodies in South Africa form the largest volunteer group in the country. Okay, so this is serious business. We need to ensure that we have the right skills, funding and drive, and we harness the entrepreneurial spirits within our community onto the governing body. And I'm going to briefly go on, because I'm sure I'm using up all my time now with the... Am I running out? Okay. The governing body and the previous 2 speakers have alluded to all the things that the governing body should do. They assume responsibility for the assets. I'm not going to go over that. You can actually read all that in any case in the South African Schools Act and in all sorts of places. They are responsible for recommending state staff for appointment. They are responsible in the schools that have the funding to be able to appoint SGB staff, and need to make sure that all the legislative framework around that is fulfilled. But now, how do we get people to turn up to vote? Because that's quite difficult at times. And one of the reasons why it's important to get people to vote is because there is a sort of a tendency around this whole issue of the quorum. As you know, you have to have a quorum of 15%. At the second meeting, you don't have to have a quorum at all. But if you want to build this partnership with your community, you actually want them to come. You want at the end of the day for those people, for your school community to be able to say, yes, we had a say in what's happening at that school. You want to be able to do something that actually you could get a quorum. So educate them on the importance of this vote. There's no harm in telling them how very special this whole negotiated thing is. Tell them that you want to build up this school in this community to be the best that it can be. That through this governing body you can seek some partners and some sponsors, and you can build it up. You can make it the cleanest place to come around. You can make the gardens look pretty. It doesn't cost you money to do that. And all of those kind of things will attract the people to come. Now, there's not much time between now and the 6th of March, I'm aware of that. But these are ongoing things. You can start working on this. By the time the next election's coming along in 3 years, or it might even be longer if the South African Schools Act has changed, but by the time the next lot of parents come along, you'll have all that in place. It will make it that much easier. You can use publicity, all the circulars and posters and reminders that you can send through the children. Make sure that you meet all the deadline dates, which if you've been to the training, they will have been given to you. Make sure that you meet those. Have a process by which you collect returns from the parents. That you have used technology, use SMSs, WhatsApp, Facebook, get one friend to call, incentivize the children if they bring back their returns, incentivize the class, I don't know, they'll all get a free sucker, or they'll all something. Just be careful not to be accused of bribery, but you can create those things. Associate it with something else that's happening at your school. Perhaps it's towards the end of term. Perhaps you could have parents report back. You could have some activity involving the children. I mean, that's the biggest attraction, is to try and get people, if your child's involved in something, do something like that. There are a number of possibilities, and of course, as you will know yourselves, something to eat never does any harm at all. So I really encourage you today to make the most of this opportunity, to work with the people in your community, to seek the people who do not have ulterior motives, and to work with them, and to remember also that on this team, you're only one of the team. It is difficult for principals because you're answerable to the department, and you're kind of answerable to the governing body, and there's a lot of legislation. But those people on the governing body don't know all the legislation. Again, an open heart, showing them, sharing with them, building up, what do they have to do, helping them, perhaps showing that you have, listening to them, listening to what your community wants. And I really, and for all of you, I just hope and pray that these elections do not add any stress to you, but that there's going to be a way that you have a governing body that has the best interests of the children at your school at heart, and of building a nation out of our very best assets. All the best. Thank you.